Hello, this is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Today I want to show you a really cool American wooden wall crank telephone, and this is Tim's telephone from Indiana. And we've done an earlier wooden wall, and that was finished up and sent back to Tim. And he wanted these two telephones to be Intercom telephones. So basically, we're designing them to be Intercom telephones, and so they will not be on the telephone line. So he's got a pretty cool idea. He's going to, have these two telephones in two different areas on his property, and then he'll be able to talk back and forth. And then when you crank the crank, you'll ring the bells of each one of them. So we want to get a start on this telephone. This is the initial checkout. I have tried the magneto, and the crank doesn't work very well. So we want to go through the magneto. We want to oil clean and adjust and make sure that the magneto is going to work. We also want to upgrade the transmitter. This transmitter will have to be upgraded, and we build what's called a amplified transmitter here at the shop, and we'll be installing that in the transmitter section so that he will have the quality when he talks on these telephones that he's going to need to communicate. We also want to upgrade the receiver capsule. We will also need to add some wiring and wire this telephone the way we want it wired to work the way we want it to work. And we're going to also go through the solenoids, the bells, and the hook switch. And so we have a lot of work that we need to do. And we're going to go ahead and show you the inside of the telephone. We'll also be marking where Tim needs to connect his battery lines to use this telephone as a intercom telephone. And we want to mark the lines, the connection that is going to be for his bells and his magneto, because there'll be separate connections for the magneto and the bells and a separate connection for the battery line. So we want to go ahead and take a break from the video. We're going to get a start on this. We'll get some more video as we move forward, and we're going to do some still pictures. So we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back now, and we're going to show a little bit about what's going on. We went ahead and installed our electronic amplified transmitter in the neck of the telephone, and we also have our line that comes out that's going to come through the door, and then we're going to have some connections on the door so that we can remove the transmitter neck and ship the phone. So when Tim receives the phone, he can take the transmitter neck here and go ahead and finalize his connections, and then everything will be fine. Now, we also had to take and remove the magneto to repair it. And so we've also gone through the bell solenoids and worked on them, adjusted the bells, and worked on the solenoid. So now what we want to do before we put the magneto back into the unit, we want to go ahead and crank the magneto and ring the bells. So we'll go ahead and do that. So now we're ready to reinstall the magneto. We also want to put our transmitter neck back on, and we're going to go ahead and finish up some wiring that we need to take care of. We also need to go through the receiver capsule. We want to go through the receiver capsule. We need to install a cloth receiver capsule cord, and we also need to go through this receiver see if that needs to be repaired or not. So we want to troubleshoot that. We're going to try to use the original receiver if we can. If not, we will install another receiver capsule in this unit, and we'll go from there. So we still have quite a bit of work to do, and we're going to take a short break from the video, and we're going to start on reassembling the magneto into the unit, installing our transmitter, and going through our receiver capsule and rewiring some things. So we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back now, and we're going to show a little bit about what's going on. We're in the middle of the process of repairing the receiver capsule. The original receiver capsule, the coils are bad to that, so that's of no use to us. We have to replace it. We're going to set that to the side. We have our weight that needs to go into the receiver capsule, and we also have an upgrade for the receiver capsule, so we'll be installing that. We've also installed and put our contacts, our spade connectors, on our cloth handset receiver capsule cord. So basically what we want to do is we want to finish that up, and then we're going to make our connections inside the telephone, and we're going to come back and give you some more video as we move forward in the repair and conversion of this telephone. So we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back now, and we are finished up with the repair and conversion of this telephone, and this is going to be used as an intercom. So what we have is 4 connections at the top of the telephone, and we're going to be doing a still picture of those connections. The 2 in the back are for the other magneto on the other telephone, because this is going to be used as an intercom telephone. So when you crank that crank and the connections are made at the 2 back connections, that will ring the bells on this telephone. Also, the 2 connections in the front are for the talk power for the battery. So that will give you not your dial tone per se, but it will give you your talk power. And so those connections would be for tip and ring, basically, or your battery. So what we want to do is some checks now. I have the unit hooked up to the analyzer, and we're going to use the analyzer like the other telephone, like the crank. And so we'll go ahead and ring the unit. We're going to let that go a few times. I'll let it go one more time. We'll go ahead and stop the ring. We want to disconnect our connections because I want to use the analyzer for our dial tone or for our battery. So we'll go ahead and take a short break. Okay, we're back now, and we've connected our analyzer to the 2 connections in the front, and that's going to be for talk power, so we want to check that out. But before we give you a dial tone, we want to crank this crank and ring the bell, so we'll go ahead and do that. Now what we can do, since we have the analyzer connected to what would be the battery connections or tip and ring, we'll go ahead and give you some dial tone. Now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and hit the hook switch. If you watch the analyzer, you see that red light light up. Every time you see that red light light up, that's an indication of 100% modulation on transmit. That means Tim doesn't have to be necessarily right up to the spit cup to talk on this telephone. That's because of the amplified transmitter that we build here in the shop. It's that sensitive. And we do that because we want him to be able to have the clarity that he needs to talk on these 2 units as he's using them for an intercom system. 1, 2, 3, 456 123 456. Hello, hello. So we know that he's going to have plenty of transmit power. And what we want to do is we want to push this button on the switch box, and that gives us a line out. We're going to use a tone dialer to dial a time and temp number. And on that time and temp number, they're having some issues with their equipment. You'll hear the recording start, and then you'll hear a hum, and the recording will continue. That's on their end, has nothing to do with what we're doing. And what we want to do is show that this could be used like a telephone, but we know it's not going to be. It's going to be used as an intercom. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and get our tone dialer ready, and then we want to go ahead and give you some dial tone. And we'll go ahead and use our tone dialer, and we'll dial our number.
Good evening. Today is Thursday, September 18th. The time is 6:10. Current temperature 83 degrees. Mostly clear tonight and Friday. Low tonight, low 50s. Friday's high around 80.
Now this receiver here has been upgraded, and we've installed our cloth cord for our receiver. So now what we want to do is give you a look at the inside of the unit. A little bit of everything has been done to this telephone. We had to do some rewiring. We had to add some wires. We had to add some contacts up here for our tip and ring or our battery, and the two connections in the back are for your magneto. And we also wired in our transmitter. Now we have some connections here that we can undo because we want to be able to remove the transmitter neck for shipment purposes. So we can take that off and ship the telephone easier with the transmit neck off of the telephone. We went through our hook switch. That was all rewired. We wired in our receiver capsule, our cloth cord, and we wired everything for our magneto and our tip and ring or our battery. So a little bit of everything has been done to this telephone. Now that we know that this telephone has been repaired and converted as an intercom telephone, we can return it to Tim, and he can enjoy these telephones. And then he can finish up this project that he's got going with these two telephones and using them as an intercom system. I think that's going to look pretty neat, and he's got a cool idea. This is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.